For some time now, we have been covering the DMT phenomenon, the DMT, ayahuasca, magic mushroom, psychedelic phenomenon, whatever you would want to call it. And we commonly refer to the work of Rick Strassman when he did the DMT spirit molecule studies here at the University of New Mexico. It was during these studies that people said they came into contact with otherworldly entities, and we feature some of these kind of commentary in the clip. But they say this reality is all there is. But what if there's a source code running underneath it all? Thousands of people, from scientists to Navy veterans, are reporting the exact same thing. When they break through on DMT, they don't just hallucinate. They travel. They meet entities. They see geometric patterns of our world, and some are even being told to, quote, get out. Today, we're peeling back the veil on the DMT realm to see if there's just a chemical reaction happening, or if we've accidentally discovered a doorway to something much, much older.
I mean, they really present themselves as intelligent entities. They were talking to us in a certain way, communicating telepathically. They had a lot to teach us. If you make this sound, you can affect effectively molecular changes in your physiology at the level of DNA, induce a resonance with your DNA that will cause it to turn superconducting. You will actually be able to exteriorize your consciousness. Psychotic break, shamanic initiation, or alien encounter, question mark, right? And it had all of those elements, it had all of those elements.
Dennis McKenna has one of the most remarkable stories I have ever heard. Imagine yourself at 20 years old in the Colombian Amazon basin, living for months almost entirely on a diet of psychedelic mushrooms, in a 24/7, sleep-deprived cosmic dance with the universe. Together with his brother Terence, they ran an experiment on their own minds that should have destroyed them both. One walked away a mystic and became the most famous and impactful psychedelic philosopher of all time. The other walked away a scientist and spent the next 50 years becoming the ethnopharmacologist who first proved how ayahuasca works. Welcome to the story of the McKenna brothers.
We went to South America because we thought if we could find a orally active form of DMT. DMT was the mystery for us. It was the holy grail. And what happened was that we became dissociated from reality for a prolonged period. I'd expanded my mind to be contiguous with the boundaries of space-time. And I was the universe. Over about 2 weeks, each 24 hours, I was one with the cosmos, and I began to collapse in on myself. I began to reconstitute. And then I was contiguous with the boundaries of the galactic supercluster, and then the galaxy, and then the solar system. And then while all this was going on, Terence was in a hypervigilant state looking after me, and he didn't sleep for 14 days. You're in the middle of the fucking Amazon, right? So you can't just go to the clinic down the street. And of course,
For a 20-year-old.
it was a lot. It's a lot for a 60-year-old. It's a lot for a 75-year-old.
Exactly.
It's a lot for anyone.
20 years old in the Amazon having these experiences. I mean, I can only imagine.
Well, yeah.
I was the 41st person in the world to do intravenous DMT. The journey itself, oh my God, 5 hours of just being ripped out of this entire reality. So I had it in my arm. I was laying down. These people held the space so beautifully well. And they were weird looking light beings that kind of look like they're aliens. But I could hear them. Every single sound, I could hear my organs kind of sloshing as they pushed their hands. I could feel every single thing that they were doing to me. And just imagine it's 10,000 more times more real than this. I did ask 39 times throughout that whole experience if I was dead.
5 hours of our Earth plane linear time was about how long in the DMT world, if you have any sense of that?
5 or 6 months is what it felt like. We're these little infantile, hairless monkeys, like our little species. And then we're like, you know what? You know what I want to learn today? I'm going to learn the secrets of the universe. And then you do DMT and they're like, all right, mother. And they show it all to you and you can't comprehend it. You can't understand it. You'll never be able to piece any of it together and try explaining 1/10000000th of 1% of it to another human being. Good luck.
The experience of smoking some of the toads in them that comes from the toad. He busts his little pimple and pus comes out. We put it on the window. Our mirror, it hardens up. We make fine ash out of it, like sawdust or whatever, and we smoke it. And then
Are you talking to the mic so you hear?
we smoke it, and then once you smoke it, and you let the smoke out, you hold it for as long as possible. You let it out, and then you go to this another dimension. And then you realize all you did in life, you didn't do shit.
Damn, okay.
And then you hit, this is the closest I've ever been to God. Ooh, nigga.
That toad ain't no
It
joke.
would blow your motherfucking mind.
Yeah.
Damn. It would blow your mind for you to know how powerful you are. It would blow your fucking mind. You might move. Fuck.
Yeah.
I did it around 60 times. It's always different experience, but it just blows your fucking mind, nigga. It blows your mind what you saw. And then you're scared, but
What's some of the shit you saw?
huh?
Some of the shit you saw.
Listen, I didn't see nothing. I saw, I saw the ancient shit, like these Aztec shit, some
Aztec warriors.
shit from Africa. I saw my ancestors been during the prehistoric times and shit. You see fucking, it's really creepy. And then next thing you know, you wake up and you're crying or something.
Did anybody ever chase you on them experience? Like, was
No.
anybody coming at you?
No, because you're God.
Okay, and that
You
worked.
just don't know it. They tricked me. If I ever saw somebody take it, before I did it, I would never take it. Some guy, I was high, I was on cocaine. I was on cocaine when I took it. I was doing crazy shit. Never coming home. I took that, I didn't get high for 5 years. Didn't touch liquor, cocaine in 5 years. I was 100 pounds overweight. I got in shape to fight a nigga. And that's what that did to me.
Damn.
Love me high dimensional aliens. That'd be the funnest thing ever.
Well, believe it or not, I met higher dimensional aliens while I was doing ayahuasca. I'm not even lying, man. I mean,
By the way, did you know this? I only knew it researching for my book.
Go ahead.
There's a subset of DMT users that all agree that they're interacting with aliens. And they
Yes.
have formed a subgroup within DMT user, the user group.
I did not know that.
It's an alien sub, and they want to get together, see if they're actually somehow cross-dimensional communicating with aliens, and they're going to compare notes.
I would say that makes perfect sense because in my experience, quite frankly, I had, and maybe I did, because here's the thing. I felt like the entire time, first of all, you're not high when you do ayahuasca. That's a misnomer. You are not a misconception. You're not like, oh my God, I'm tripping my balls off. It's like your brain has been subsectioned and you're kind of in touch with all of the different sections of your brain, but the whole time I was telling myself, this is my perception. This is all coming from my brain. And the ayahuasca was like, and what difference does that make? In these sacred geometries, there are representations of dimensions that seemingly are infinite, but like I've described before, are like a deck of cards. They're like a deck of cards that go in all directions, but they're dimensions. Some of them larger, some of them smaller, some of them where the communication happens downward, but we're in a crappy dimension where we can't go upwards or outwards, and so we have to be communicated with from above or beside.
Don, why are we in a crappy dimension? It's all your fault.
You know, and listen, I was just like this. I thought the whole time I kept saying to myself, you're high. That's all I kept saying. But the more I talk to people like you, Don, and Brian Green and Jan 11, this stuff that I really didn't have any knowledge of is kind of the basis of the experience. I'm just saying.
You inhale something and there's a whole other reality. Well, you're right now inhaling oxygen and you have this reality. How many other realities can you visit?
Yeah.
And which is the real reality?
Yeah.
And all I would say is, I make mention of it in the book. People on DMT have these shared experiences. So let's do experiments on that to see if can one person experience an insectoid, glean information from that psychedelic alien that matches someone else's information. That's how you would probe this. Otherwise, you say, oh, it's real, and then we'd start a new religion.
The vast majority of people who have used DMT reporting that they have encountered an entity, that transfer of information was done during that encounter, and that encounter was real. That space where that entity was real. It's very bad to say that the hallucinations are the effects of psychedelics. We are just importing the speech from the 60s and the 70s when they were trying to prohibit psychedelics. Hallucination is pathological and it's not transient. You have that for days, you have that for months, you have that for years. While in ayahuasca, it's self-contained in those 4 hours that you have the experience.
Braulio de Araujo is an applied physicist and professor of neuroimaging at Brazil's Brain Institute. He has spent 20 years pointing MRI and EEG scanners at the single most ineffable experience a human can have, an ayahuasca vision. He ran the world's first controlled trial showing that a single dose of a psychedelic could lift treatment-resistant depression in only 1 week. But the question he really wants answered isn't whether it works, he's already convinced of that. It's whether the entities people meet inside could actually be real. Please remember to subscribe to the Giant Shoulder channel. Thousands have tried to describe what happens when you press that button, and like an ayahuasca trip, there just simply isn't a word to describe it.
When you wake up from a dream, you realize that your dream was not real. The effects of ayahuasca that are very different than the effects of dreams, which are the dream experience that you had preserves the sense of reality. So when you remember that visual experience, you don't remember that visual experience as, oh, that was just a dream. No. You remember that, oh my God, that was real.
Yes.
I really lived out that experience. We speak a lot about ego dissolution in psychedelics, but I think we speak very little about ego inflation. If you go in the psychedelic science, you find a lot of ego inflation, not a lot of ego dissolution. And this ego inflation is contaminating the field. So what we're doing here in Brazil is a completely different path. We don't want to extract knowledge from indigenous population. We want to help them being on stage together with us.
These colors begin racing together, and it forms this mandalic floral thing. which I call the chrysanthemum. It physically propels you through. There's this sense of bursting through something, and you burst into this space. And on the other side, these things are there. A whole bunch of entities waiting on the other side. They're like jeweled, self-dribbling basketballs. And they will stop in front of you and vibrate, and they're saying, "We're so happy to see you." They're making objects with their voices. They're singing structures into existence. These things are like the toys that are scattered around the nursery inside a UFO. But then they do a very disconcerting thing, which is they jump into your body. And as your attention goes toward these objects, you realize that what you're being shown is impossible. You feel like some kind of bubble inside your body. And when it comes out, it isn't sound, it's vision. And then after a minute or so of this, the whole thing begins to collapse in on itself, and they literally begin to physically move away from you. After that, some people can give no account of it whatsoever. They just say, it was the weirdest thing that ever happened to me, and I can't remember it.
Are you aware that that in plant medicine ceremonies, veterans as well, because we know a lot, are experiencing contact experiences? They're known as the Doctorcitos. Mm-hmm. Are you aware of this?
I am aware of the idea, yes.
Is the government aware that this is taking place?
I think there are individuals in the government that are aware.
Got it.
The government writ large, it's a huge apparatus, right? But there's actually neuroscientists that are looking at this very, very seriously.
Yeah, things
like psilocybin, MDMA, and MDA. I think it's, what do they call MD?
MDA is
MDT
sassafras, yeah, and MDMA is also, it just has.
So unfortunately, I'm not. I can't talk about that in any real way because I have a security clearance, and everyone kind of gives me a no on that. But with that said, I do know that I know a lot of veteran friends of mine who have substantially improved their personal well-being with therapies that were considered unconventional before, and now turn out to be quite therapeutic.
Mm-hmm. There seems to be kind of 6 levels to the DMT experience, and each of them with their own characteristic mathematical properties. The first one is what we call threshold, where colors become a little bit more intense, a little bit more bright. The upper threshold is what we call symmetry hotel. Every surface becomes tessellated with symmetrical patterns. As you increase the dose, the symmetry becomes of higher order. At a lower dose, you may see a symmetry like this, and at a higher dose, you may see a symmetry like this. Then there's a phase transition. You go into what we call the magic eye level. And I think a very good metaphor here is autostereograms. The symmetrical surfaces acquire a little bit of curvature and depth. They usually crystallize into a depth map. Now, as you continue to increase the dose, the complexity of the depth starts to increase. So there's maybe more objects, more spikes, more folds of the wallpaper symmetry groups. On the upper levels of the waiting room, you get to a place that we call the crystal worlds. The texture becomes so saturated in your visual field that you actually experience it as kind of 3-dimensional crystals. For a lot of people, maybe that is peak of the experience, but if you take a little bit higher dose, that actually unfolds into what we call the waiting room. That is much more immersive. That is a place where you may actually be kind of confused whether you're here or whether you're there. But then at even higher dose, what we call the breakthrough level, there's another phase transition where actually the sense of space and time changes in its topology. And this is where a really radical change of consciousness happens, because
Andres Gomez Emelson is the director of the Qualia Research Institute, a consciousness mathematician and one of the sharpest critics of the idea that the brain is simply a computer. While the rest of the neuroscience world treats consciousness as an emergent property of information processing, Andres argues it is a real physical thing, a topological pocket in the electromagnetic field where pleasure and pain are determined by literal geometric symmetry. He has mapped the hyperbolic geometry of DMT and proposed a formal mathematical solution to suffering. Remember to subscribe to the channel because if Andres is right, the video isn't just data entering your eyes, it is actively reshaping the 4D topology of your own electromagnetic fields.
We are essentially making the bet that there's like a very, very tight correlation with like the symmetry of this mathematical object and how good or bad an experience feels.
Physicists are deeply interested in symmetry at a really fundamental level. Now, consciousness and the mathematics behind consciousness seems to be related to symmetry. What do you think is the right way to think about what symmetry actually is? I think there's something here that I'm just not fully grasping.
Symmetry is like a super deep topic. There's people who actually argue that physics is actually the study of symmetry, just because of how influential symmetry has been in shaping how physicists think about the universe. So let me.
Wow.
So everybody just inhale slowly.
This group is preparing to take part in an experiment.
Exhale, keep it out.
One that's meant to show them the simulation.
Thank you, everybody.
Danny Goler created the test, which consists of two parts, a psychedelic drug called DMT and lasers.
DMT stands for dimethyltryptamine. If you smoke it, it produces the most psychedelic explosion known to man. Just in case somebody is not fully aware, this is a big experience. The main jarring factor is the speed. It comes on really fast. It will surprise you, even though I said this to you. It will still surprise you.
Oh, Debbie's about to go.
All right, great.
Wow.
Looks smaller than you think. The pixels that make up the screen, so to speak.
This is not a laser beam right now. And there's almost like a road. The best I could describe it is like snakeskin.
Do you know how many times people said snakeskin? Crazy.
This feels really mythological.
Mythological?
Yeah.
What a great word.
So big. Oh my. I'm so shocked I saw anything. That was so unexpected. Like this was not this. It was like this whole world. Not a world I've ever been in and that I would conceive of.
Do you think what you saw there is other dimensions or...
Well, I certainly can understand now why Danny wants to spend a lot of time there. Because it felt like I wanted to stay there, and it felt like, what else is even beyond this?
And just look at it. You see this laser? Great. Now, if you smoke DMT right now, that's what he would tell them, you will see code running in there. He said, I've done it, you can see it, and I thought, this is so brilliant. That's what he means by lowering the angle. Make it easier for people, collapse some steps for them, right? So we started working together. How do we lower the angle for everybody else? How do we make this palatable, conversationally acceptable, and also taken seriously? So slowly but surely, we built together the Code of Reality, which is a nonprofit that basically does the investigative part. And at the same time, I'm doing a lot of the kind of, public-facing, kind of explaining and talking about it and all that stuff. And we're now officially kind of looking to start an actual research center in Colorado where this is going to be an actual, like a real thing happening. And we've already done a few studies. We actually developed this technology that, so we discovered recently, this is only very recent, that if you take an image of this band of light on the wall and you clean it up, so you take a super high resolution image of it, and you put it inside of Apple Vision Pro, so inside of VR, if you smoke DMT, the code that you usually see in the wall will appear in the image. but it will be static. In the surface, it's moving. We took a picture of the code. So what we did now is we developed this little software by the help of Chris Paris and Sterling Cooley, our brain scan expert and producer in the film, that basically what allows you to do is label the thing. Because we can't really translate between your experience and my experience right now. Like, I don't really know if the color of this chair is the same for you like it is for me, and that's not collapsible. Like, I can never know. But what it is, if you go into the Apple Vision Pro and you're seeing it, right? So you're gonna click where you see a symbol, and the computer is gonna register your brain scan in that moment. So it registers the event, and it takes a tail 5 seconds before, 5 seconds after, so you have a bit of wiggle room there. And also it knows the location. So it marked the location and exactly what your brain was doing in that moment. And then it opens a radial menu that allows you to pick from 6 symbols that are the closest to what we topologically discerned is the most commonly reported symbols. So we ask you, which one of those is the closest to what you think you saw? So you click on one. So now the computer knows location, brain moment, and exactly what you reported to see, right? And then you keep doing this. So eventually, it will take us a few months for sure, but eventually we're hoping to achieve basically a Rosetta Stone of what each person is reporting and how it's all kind of registered on the computer. And then we're going to start comparing between individuals.
When I first saw the phenomenon, it was like, holy shit!
But then it was actually like, whoa, what is happening?
Am I losing my mind? But then I showed other people, and things kept getting weirder. Just for the record, I haven't told him anything. Okay, just tell me what you see.
Oh my God, come on.
Wow, what the fuck? Holy shit. I just saw something. Yeah. What the fuck?
Oh, I see that. I feel it.
I've been under the influence of mind-altering substances a lot, but I've never seen anything like that.
Whoa. I showed over 100 people, and I kept asking myself, how are all of us seeing the same thing?
Oh my God. It's changing shapes right there.
The laser was revealing numbers and letters running in a pattern.
They're almost like this big here, and it looks like code.
It looked like...
That was a thick laser.
That's why I told you.
Something, and I just want to take a picture of it and translate it.
Wow.
You see that?
Okay, so yeah, it's not stuck.
No.
It's not because of the light.
No, it's on its own side. Light is just literally revealing it.
And each angle shows you different layers, different ways through it.
I could see through the wall. It's not like a hallucination. It has spatial awareness and permanence.
I don't know. Whoa.
Stop what you're doing and go to freedomfaction.substack.com. And I mean that in the most polite way. I am very excited about what we're doing over here on TikTok and what we're going to be doing over at freedomfaction.substack.com. Not only are we able to upload the episodes to the platform, but it also takes those episodes, the video versions of them, and creates a audio version and creates a podcast feed. Does this for literally every single video. This video right now will most likely end up over on Substack, and it'll be turned into an audio which you guys can go listen to. That saves us so much time. On top of that, it takes the long form videos that we do of the podcast, and it creates little clips that we end up posting over here that you guys are beginning to see. Now, I am excited. Clips, thoughts, discussion, engagement, and things like this. This isn't even me talking about the beginning of me writing articles over there on Substack. We're going to take all these individual clips and all these individual thoughts that AI is able to snap together, and we're going to write legible articles with resources and links and things like that. I'm trying to do like the whole multi-spectrum approach towards this. I know that some people like the videos that we do. I know some people would prefer to just listen to what we do. And I know that there are people who also want to verify what we do and read what we put out. I'm trying to get it on every single angle, bro. Just, you got to work with me. I'm doing it. Stop what you're doing and go to freedomfaction.substack.com. It's like Patreon, but better. It's like TikTok and more. It's like our website and then some. freedomfaction.substack.com.
There's this phenomena since people started smoking DMT. These people report being locked out of the DMT realm. Not only can they not access it, but the creatures, the entities in there, which they refer to them as machine elves.
Yeah.
It's the entities that live within the DMT realm. But these people, they go in and these machine elves are like, get out. You're no longer allowed in here. And so these people talk about like they can go in this realm that they're in. It feels like for thousands of years they're in this realm. It's super weird.
Yeah, I watched a video where a dude was like, no matter how much I do, he was like, I can't get back. It does nothing anymore.
It's like everyone knows what these machine elves are.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing about DMT. These people all see the same entities.
I've talked to somebody. They experience like the crystal creatures.
Yeah,
like,
and there's different types of creatures.
Love and light.
There's like the snake, and then there's the machine elves. There's just a bunch of different creatures that everyone sees. And it's like, that's not a coincidence.
You get invited to the DMT realm, be cool about it.
Here we go.
So that's how I got the invite to start doing the DMT trials. And I've been doing them for 8 years at Imperial.
Mm-hmm.
And the first study was EEG and intravenous DMT, and almost got thrown out of the study straight away for breathing, because I was like quite, doing a lot of breath work, because that's how you navigate the space. And Chris was like, oh, you've ruined the kind of the EEG data because you're creating motion artifacts as you're moving, as you're breathing. And I was like, you just need better equipment. So luckily they did get better equipment, and I was allowed back into the second phase of the study. And the second phase of the study, fMRI plus injected DMT. And I don't know if you've ever been in an fMRI scanner.
I don't think so.
But it's incredible. I'm not claustrophobic generally, but the claustrophobia induced by this incredibly loud, very confined, your head's like, you can't move an inch, so you're locked, your head's sort of very confined, you can't move any part of your body. And you're not really in charge of when the DMT is coming into your system. So you're trying to cope with the claustrophobia, then suddenly you're like, oh my God, I'm in here and I'm, tripping.
That's a lot.
And then immediately the entities arrive en masse, as if to say, bang, they gave me like a flash of light to say that you're made of light, you're like an immortal being, but you're in a human form right now and you're not scheduled. They're like, you're not scheduled. And I was like role reversal. So I had to calm down these abundance, the amount of entities that arrived en masse, all different varieties, all very concerned for me, because I'm suddenly in a scanner when, as I mentioned before, they're the ones normally scanning you. So I was like kind of giving them a bit of a trip. So I had to spend the entire trip calming them down. And I can show you a before and after if you like from that study. But that was the second phase of the study.
So what was the purpose of the study?
The purpose of the study, these are the 3 phases. So you can see the first phase was 2016 to 2017. That was the EEG plus intravenous DMT.
Pilot study, okay.
Yeah, and then we had the fMRI plus EEG. So that's when you're in this huge tube.
Right.
And then from 2021 onwards was the DMTX. So I was lucky. It's almost like a graduation ceremony. So I got through the first phase, and second phase was like this was before that particular scan, and this was me directly afterwards. So you can see it's like
you can see it in your face. Yeah,
it was an extraordinary insight, and probably the most powerful DMT experience I've had thus far, because they gave up the cosmic joke, as if to say, we're here, we're kind of your guardians, and you're not scheduled, as if to say they know when you're actually scheduled, and that wasn't the right time for me to be putting myself in danger. And what was really fascinating was that 2 weeks later...
They know what does that mean? They know when you're scheduled?
They told me. They told me you're not scheduled. That was very clear. Like, as in, like, you're not ready to... You're not going to die now. This is like... Why are you being scanned? Like, what is this scanner? They were completely confused, and they'd probably never seen anyone having DMT and being in an fMRI scanner. So it was extraordinary for them. Probably more extraordinary in some sense, because I had to spend the whole time calming them down.
As if people can be scheduled to die.
As if they know when you're scheduled. And what was crazy was 2 weeks later I had to
As if it's predetermined.
As if there's some sort of knowledge on the guardians, if they are your guardians, if there is something to that. But what was crazy is 2 weeks later I had to go back in the scanner and do the next phase of the study, same dose, same experiment, and no entities came. As if to say they, like a bit like crying wolf, like we've told you this isn't the cleverest thing to be doing. And of course, it made me realize that it's all about context. It's very much about the contextual factors of when you're doing these trips, like if you've got a massively loud device that you're basically sitting inside whilst you're doing the DMT, that's going to affect the outcomes. Because I think 80% of the medicine is the contextual factors that you're doing it. We know about mindset, right? How if you're in a very twisted place, you shouldn't touch anything psychedelic because it's a non-specific amplifier. Body set, my friend Jack Alocker and Malin have written a paper around how important it is to be well rested. The food that you've eaten, have you had a virus recently? Body set's critical in terms of context as well, and then your environment. So those three factors.
I have ventured into that territory probably deeper than most people who have ever lived. Yes. When you enter that space, things live there. All kinds of things trying to interact with you and perform for you and trying to grab your attention. I think what I've learned how to do is understand what is what and who is talking. And there are messages that are very clearly not by just some guy on the street, so to speak, but by the government, by the official representation of whatever the space is. And only that signal is the one I'm reporting. If you have minimal human skills, right, you enter a certain clique or a certain group of people. If you interact with them for years and years and years, you kind of get who's whom, right? There's the one that is always exaggerating everything. There's the person who's like a very, very honest, almost to their own detriment person, right?
Yeah.
You get who's who. So when somebody tells you something, you already know how to treat that information. It's really no different. When you listen to a particular group of any agents, you kind of understand who is saying what and in what way, under what circumstances.
Are they all under a god? Is that what you're saying?
So what I saw in that vision, which was very much a kind of like a diagram of how everything works, is that we exist in some kind of a tri-system thing. I don't even know what that is, but it's like a three-ball thing. One of them is our multiverse. For example, Gaia is Earth.
Okay.
That's way inside. Right, we're talking about outside of that. It's like a completely different new ecosystem that we know nothing about, basically.
Okay.
The only thing we kind of know something about from this outer system is Jehovah, is the God of the Bible.
Okay.
That's the only entity outside that we know about, and Jesus Christ. But there are others. Jehovah is not alone.
Okay.
Which is uncomfortable for Christians. But
oh yeah, that's uncomfortable.
For Christians, it is.
Yeah. That's the only thing you've said that's uncomfortable for me.
Yes, and there are above him. Unseen.
Above him? Oh,
yes.
Now it's real uncomfortable.
Yes.
Okay.
And the ultimate one seems to be a woman. She's basically the everything.
Okay.
Everything comes out of that.
Does she know me?
She knows everything. But she's so far removed from our operation.
Yeah, okay, got it.
Yeah. She's not something that anybody's being can refer to inside. Because it's so far removed.
Yeah. By the way, you know how I'm saying that this is uncomfortable? How God is like, I'm the only God that's you're dealing with.
Yeah, but I don't think it comes out of any kind of hubris or any ill doing. I think it's the opposite. It comes out of love.
Yeah.
I think the relevance of that was exactly what I was about to say. That I think that the reason that it's expressed this way is that he's basically saying, you don't want to worry about that. Okay, let me deal with that. It's like it will never be relevant to you. Let's stay here where things are relevant.
You won't understand.
Not only you won't understand, it will spin you out of control, and it's not a thing you want to be dealing with. Let me represent you.
Got it.
Kind of like that.
Almost everyone that takes DMT, these creatures show up that look like court gestures or space aliens with different things and say, there are too many humans, you need to wipe out the population, then you'll become gods.
You need to kill people so you can become God?
Yes, you need to depopulate and you need to transcend.
Do you know people who've heard that message?
Oh, absolutely. They've had whole groups and studies that have had group hallucinations of this. Tech heads who, microdose and are big into hallucinations and big into hallucinogenics, when they get more advanced and deep into it, then the things start giving them more ideas and explaining the system they're going to build, the AI, the takeover, and this new species, and how you're going to transcend death. They say the devil's greatest trick was convincing the world he didn't exist. I think that's his second biggest trick. I think convincing the world that good doesn't exist is the devil's biggest trick.
Yes.
Convincing us that there isn't anybody good and that you don't have power and that it's all over. The biggest trick is hopelessness when we're promoting truth and justice and honor, and we can't just dial into demons. We can also dial into God and get that message, but you first have to recognize that good and evil exist.
Yes.
And I know the bad guys know that I know what I'm talking about. I know you, okay? I've been around the block. I see you real clear, a lot clearer than you see yourself. And when they're doing something really bad, they feel exhilarated. But when they're not, they feel scared and are scared of the energy that's taking them over. But every time they're not doing exactly what the evil spirit wants, all of a sudden it's all cold and scary. And I mean, they literally just shake at night and just are totally scared. Lady Gaga, Madonna, I mean, all of them. And they literally, demons are attacking them. They're just, that's why they take all the drugs. Almost all the serial killers believe demonic entities are telling them to do it. The smart ones get into positions of power. When I say the smart ones, I mean the hierarchy. Like Christ said, there's armies, legions. They did government DMT studies decades ago, and I told you about it first 10 years ago on Rogue, and then a few years later they started declassifying it, where they have university government facilities, and they'll have 10, 20, 30 people all take different cocktails of hallucinogens, DMT, ayahuasca, all that, and they're having group hallucinations. The veil is lifted on those drugs, and you can see into the other dimension. Because your eyes are already picking it all up. Your brain dials down to the light spectrum here in the third dimension, because if you could see everything, well, it'd be a little confusing, it'd be overwhelming. But you see, your subconscious mind and unconscious mind is hundreds of times more powerful than your focus and your cerebral cortex. That's just your limited, directed consciousness. But you understand, your brain is always seeing it all. Your soul is seeing it all. And see, a lot of these people, they go take these drugs, and then they'll tell you they don't have Christ. Almost everybody that keeps taking those drugs, that's why I've never taken them, starts having demonic stuff happen in their life, starts having, these things start breaking through because you've removed the filter. So your spirit, it's seeing it all. But in this biomechanical suit for operations on this planet, we're designed to, at a subconscious, unconscious level, see all. Call that intuition. It's not intuition, you're looking at it. You ever seen your cat sitting there and it's just looking around like it's actually looking at somebody? And it's just sitting there in an empty room staring and she's like it's following something? And that's why the ancients would say, oh, the cats are holy or whatever. And they would, all the different ancients, the Egyptians said, oh, the cats can see through the veil. Of course they can. For whatever reason, the way God designed them, they see more. You ever been sitting there and you feel a presence, a bad presence come in the room? And all of a sudden you're telling them, a little bit chill. And then the cat's sitting there and it goes, and it looks over at a spot, and then it looks at you, and then it goes, poof. You're just sitting there, maybe taking a nap. Every once in a while, you just feel creepy. Might happen once a year or something, really. There's a cat, your cat, and the cat's already looking. The cat looks at you and he goes,
well, and then he came from this portal and like sat at the table.
That was Dr. Astrid coming out a few years ago, and what she said was going on at CERN. Now, she has an academic and scientific background. She worked at the University of Geneva in Switzerland. She has also worked with the World Health Organization and the United Nations, so she holds some weight. Now, her claims were that they had opened a portal or something like a stargate under CERN. She claimed that she was told by scientists there that an entity came out and the entity even left a scarf behind as physical proof. Now, regardless if we believe her or not, they are messing with something they shouldn't be messing with. Now, she said that they were trying to open something much bigger. Well, this came to mind because of this, and I showed you that clip because of this. So I was sitting here, and I heard the word CERN in my head. It just popped into my head. I heard that word, and I was thinking, well, I haven't looked into CERN in a long time. So I went and I looked into it, and there was a news article from today. It said they had just announced that they are happy about funding for a new particle accelerator, or a new particle collider. Now, something much bigger and better, they say. Kind of what she was talking about. They say, build by far the world's biggest particle accelerator, over 3 times larger than the LHC CERN. Wow, that's big and more powerful. Now, the planned future circular collider, called the FCC, will be voted on in 2028. It says they will be checking funding in 2028 and move forward. It also says that as of today, private donors have already pledged $1 billion towards the construction of the FCC. So the LHC CERN is expected to have fully run its course by 2040, and they want another one ready, a much more powerful one ready. They would start construction in the 2030s on the FCC. They do say that the project would start operation in the 2040s. However, we know that when they always want to speed things along, or, they need to speed things along, it might not even take that long. So who knows? And especially if, let's say, something happens to CERN sooner than that. But the late 2030s into 2040s is also when Space Weather News says that the pole shift will happen. We've all been watching the data, or however you want to say it, data on that, and that would correlate with around the same time. Now, I think it could all happen much sooner, but who's to say? Anyways, so all of these things are in Revelation, and you also have the 2030 agenda, the New World Order, the beast system, and we know CERN has its hand in Bible prophecy. It could even play a part in, like Revelation 9, the key to the bottomless pit, just a thought there. But anyways, I really do think we should pay attention to their moves on this new FCC, and if they speed their plans along. Because literally everyone and everything right now has 2030 or the 2030s and 2040s in their major plans. Just something to watch.
CERN just pulled the plug on the most powerful machine on Earth, and the timing has people asking questions. A CERN physicist just delivered an announcement that should probably be getting a lot more attention.
Today, the Large Hadron Collider at CERN turned off for the very last time. We are now entering a shutdown period, which is scheduled in the CERN calendar for the next 4 years, where the accelerator is going to be upgraded into an even better version. And so, like a Pokemon evolving into its next form, the Large Hadron Collider is going to become the High Luminosity LHC. And this is going to produce even more collisions, which means even more data to be able to understand how our universe works on the very smallest scales.
Dr. Clara Nellist confirmed that the Large Hadron Collider has now been shut down and will remain offline for the next 4 years. This isn't for maintenance. This isn't for repairs. This is an evolution. In her own words, Nellist compared it to a Pokemon evolving into its next form. The current collider is being transformed into something called the High Luminosity Large Hadron Collider, a machine designed to create vastly more collisions, vastly more data, and a much deeper look into the hidden structure of reality. That's the official explanation, but online, people are connecting the dots. Because CERN isn't just any scientific facility. No, it's the place that has fueled years of speculation about parallel dimensions, hidden particles, reality glitches, alternate timelines, and experiments the public doesn't fully understand. The current machine wasn't enough. The world's most advanced particle collider wasn't enough. Now they're building something even more powerful. And according to CERN itself, it will allow scientists to peer deeper into the universe than ever before. Humanity has spent thousands of years trying to understand reality. Now, a handful of scientists are upgrading a machine specifically designed to look behind the curtain. For the next 4 years, the collider sits in the shadows while engineers quietly prepare its next form. Then they flip the switch again. Only this time, it will be stronger than anything that has ever existed before. The official story is that they're trying to understand the universe, but the question exploding across the internet is much darker. If they already know what's on the other side, why do they need a bigger machine to reach it?
From machine elves to CERN, the line between technology and spirituality is getting thinner every day. The big question is, are we supposed to be unlocking these doors, or are some realms meant to stay closed? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Smash the subscribe button if you're keeping up with these threads, and I'll see you in the next one. And if you feel like something's reaching out, let me know.